Renting a stadium in Tampa was an overall positive experience for the Rays.
You are Locked On Rays, your daily Tampa Bay Rays podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Welcome into the Locked On Rays podcast. Locked On Rays is part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day, and we are Kevin and Ulises.
And we are lifelong Rays fans who've been podcasting about the Tampa Bay Rays since 2019.
Later on today's show, Pete Fairbanks turns heartbreak into hope and deserves the Roberto Clemente Award. In a few minutes, a Rays All-Star may be returning to the lineup before the end of the season. But to start, the Steinbrenner Field experience has officially come to an end.
And we're going to talk about all of that thanks to FanDuel. Right now, new customers can bet just $5, and if your bet wins, you'll get $300 in bonus bets to use across the app. Download the FanDuel app today. Kevin, we got to talk about the Rays Stadium in Tampa, and that is that the experience at George M. Steinbrenner Field went better than expected.
Yes, it's pretty crazy because if we recall, following Hurricane Milton, the Rays had to bob and weave and make adjustments on the fly. Luckily, they came to an agreement with the Yankees and Major League Baseball to take Steinbrenner Field for the 2025 MLB season. Players called it Airbnb Stadium, funnily enough. But I think all in all, it worked out probably better than everybody hoped. It's one of those things where, you know, what's going to happen with a team that's so used to playing indoors at the Trop, they get shipped over to Steinbrenner Field, and you have the rain, you have the heat, you have lightning storms, and you're playing in a smaller stadium that's not home. Well, the Rays made it their home. I mean, it took, I think, a couple weeks to really settle in, and not saying that, you know, they were totally dominant at home, but overall, they were better at home than they were on the road, and their numbers, their offensive numbers and their pitching numbers were better at home than on the road. And we hope it's just a one-year situation. It looks like that's going to be the case with Tropicana Field getting fixed up for 2026. But I think the Rays did the best job they could out of the circumstances that they were given, from Warren Hype's team to totally rebranding the facility in a matter of days, to guys just acknowledging that, hey, we're gonna, you know, it's gonna be hot and we're just gonna have to deal with it. So, you know, I think that we'll look back on this and say, hey, history was made. It's not very often something like this happens, and you hope it doesn't have to happen again. But I think it was cool. I think it was cool for some of the fans out there to be able to say, hey, I got to watch Major League Baseball in Tampa, even if it was hot and even if you had to suffer through a rain delay. But
regular season Major League games.
Regular season Major League games, sure.
Which, my God, that was a treat. And for us going to multiple games this season, yes. Was it hot? Absolutely. Should you wear jeans at a baseball game? Never, never, never at Steinbrenner Field. Always wear shorts. Look, I think, well, you know, for my experience personally, I went 5-5. I saw 5 wins, 5 losses, went 10 games. And overall, it was a great experience. And the fact that you were able to take a stadium and then just turn it around so quickly and make it a home, make it feel like a home for fans, even though it has never been home, that was absolutely awesome. Yeah, you can't do anything about the New York Legends little field that they have, and you can't really do anything about, you know, the Yankee little logos on the seats. But overall, it did feel like, wow, this is our home. This is our, at least for this year, it's a great rental Airbnb for a stadium. Obviously, it's never going to feel like the Trop. The Trop is different in all sorts of ways to Steinbrenner Field, but they did their damn best for the fan experience to tie it all in. That was really cool. And I'll tell you, the Rays sold out 60 of the first 80 games at Steinbrenner Field. I think in the beginning we did like a little bet and we said, oh, no more than 10 games are going to be not sold out. Well, we were wrong by twice that amount. But I will say, I think that number would have been less. 20 games not sold out if the Rays actually had a positive season. If the Rays were still in the fight August, September, like in the wild card chase or even in the wild card spot, like in a wild card spot, you don't see 20 games not being sold out. I think that number definitely decreases. So I think we have to take that with a grain of salt, to 60 out of 80, and make sure that people are not going to spend 3 hours and a half in the heat for a team that's going nowhere.
Yeah, that's the tough part, because it is, I will say, a little bit embarrassing that you're averaging 97, that you can't sell out every game in a minor league stadium. I get that. But I think what was cool about all of this is, give the Rays some kudos for changing the game times around, taking into account the rain, the heat, the storms, all of that. Because when you have a night game and you get to see fireworks, I mean, that was pretty surreal, because you just can't get that or replicate that at the Trop. So, maybe it's a little word to the wise for the new ownership group is, I know it's like way more expensive to have a retractable roof versus a totally enclosed roof. But I think that would also, be a nice little touch on those perfect days, either on the earlier side of the season or the later side of the season, where you can open that roof for a day game or a night game and have, some of the hijinks that come with that. I mean, I think one of the games we went to, it was some sort of military appreciation event, and you had basically skydivers landed in to the outfield. You can't get that at the Trop.
Yeah, you can get them propelling down from a catwalk, but it's not the same to see some dude just go like, no, I'm gonna land it on the stadium because I'm a bleeping boss. Like, that was cool, man. And we saw 3 of those in the same game. So I don't remember what they were celebrating. It was, I think, Military Appreciation Day. I think you're right, mostly. But I think with the stadium in the future, I don't think the argument can say, well, look at it's going to be rained out all the time. We experienced no rainouts. I'm not saying that 1 year is great sample size. It's not. But it can be done. We literally played a whole season with no rainouts. Now,
you did have a 4-hour rain delay, did you not?
You did, but no game was canceled due to rain. I think that's a success, and I think that's not something that we would have put green skittles on at the beginning of the season, which I think should go somewhere, not all the way, but it should go somewhere. And somebody that should go somewhere would be a Rays all-star that may be returning to the lineup this season.
Well, you've probably seen a million ads for hair growth products and thought, sure, like that actually works. There are so many products out there, and it's hard to know which ones are actually going to do anything. That's why you should give Nutrafol a closer look. Nutrafol is the #1 dermatologist recommended hair growth supplement brand, trusted by over 1.5 million people. And it's not just hype. This is a supplement clinically tested that targets the root causes of thinning and shedding with a proactive approach. So see thicker, stronger hair with less shedding in just 3 to 6 months with Nutrafol. For a limited time, Nutrafol is offering Locked On MLB listeners $10 off your first month subscription and free shipping when you go to Nutrafol.com and enter the promo code LOCKEDONMLB. That's Nutrafol.com, promo code LOCKEDONMLB.
Thank you for listening to Locked On Rays, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. You got to love the fight from Jonathan Aranda, the Rays all-star first baseman. He's still trying to get back into a big league game this season, and that deserves golf claps on the podcast.
Yeah, golf claps. There we go. Yeah, it's crazy. He was injured July 31st, if we recall, in a collision with Giancarlo Stanton while reaching for a throw at first base. And I think that, he's the void that could help propel the Rays in 2026. I mean, his numbers, he was arguably the Rays' most consistent hitter.
100%.
You look at the average, the power, the RBIs, the on-base percentage. I mean, a 394 on-base percentage, pretty impressive stuff. But, Aranda, not saying everybody would think like this, but it's not like the Rays are in playoff contention or fighting for something. Like I wouldn't think there'd be a ton of motivation to get back. Just, hey, try to heal yourself and gear up for spring training next year. But by all the comments and the words and the quotes, it does seem like Aranda is like fighting for his life to try to get back into at least one regular season game before the end of this year. And it's still up to the Rays coaching staff to determine if they're going to allow him to do that. I believe he is contributing in a couple of rehab games, but for anybody, you could be like, oh yeah, I mean, I don't really need to come back, but he really wants to, which is great. And I hope that he can replicate what he did in 2025 and 2026, but also stay healthy and not have a freak injury, and hopefully can find his power stroke with that wrist issue, because this guy has legitimate pop. I mean, let's not forget the 460-foot bomb that he hit in Baltimore.
I think he is a guy that might not be known as a home run threat, but he'll bop you 20.
Yeah.
Like that's which give me some. If you're also going to give me a 300 average and a 394 on base. I mean, he had like an 800 plus OPS by the time that he got hurt. He was fantastic. He was the Rays' best hitter at the time of the injury. He was the Rays' most consistent hitter. And if he had played out the whole season, I think he might even and kept going the way that he was going to get team MVP over Junior Caminero. Like, I just think even with the home runs, I think he would have gotten it. But I love the intention of coming back. Love it, love it, love it. I think it speaks so highly of who he is as an athlete and as a human being, and how he takes his craft incredibly serious, and how not only he's doing it for himself, but he's doing it for a fandom that has had a kind of a crappy year watching baseball, and wants to give back that way. Like, hey, I'm still here and I'm going to try to give you guys a show. Please don't come back, Johnny. Please don't.
Because you like that he's saying that he wants to come back, but you actually don't want him to come back this season.
You know what? I don't need for this 2025 season, besides it being not going to the playoffs, I don't need the Rays All-Star, who I'm counting on next year, to come back in a meaningless 6 games left, and get hit by a pitch as he's coming back.
Yeah, or roll an ankle, run into first base or something.
Just nothing. Like, it could. Johnny, thank you. Thank you so much. Love the effort. And you know what? Kevin Cash said it. He said, I applaud Johnny for the efforts to come back. It would be very easy for the type of season that he's had to say, hey, you know what? I'm good. I think he's wanting to get back. We've just got to see if we've got enough time. Kevin Cash, I'm talking to you directly now. Kevin Cash.
Don't let him come back.
Don't let him come back. Don't. Just be as solid as you can with a no. Tell him, thank you. I love that fire. Keep that fire through the offseason and come back with a bleeping vengeance in 2026 to try to get even better. But I just don't need that as a fan. To the cherry on top of a mediocre year is having, the guy that came back for 6 games got hurt again. He was an all-star. I just don't need that. And I want to ask you, Locked on Rays listeners, should Jonathan Aranda try to come back for the last week of the season? And if you think yes, put it down in the comments. If you think no, put it down in the comments. I believe Kevin and I are of the same opinion that thank you, but no thanks.
Yeah, and it's also one of those things where, you bring him back up, then you got to make some roster maneuver too. So you got to send somebody, one of the younger guys who's trying to get a couple reps here and there. Not that they're going to unseat Jonathan Aranda ever, but there's a little bit more logistics involved than just, hey, we're calling up Jonathan Aranda, which, the Rays can just say, and I think there was also a quote from Kevin Cash that said, yeah, we'll see. It doesn't seem like they're going to allow him to have the ability to do that this year. But and just going back to it, Jonathan Aranda is a great example of a guy who can thrive when he's just given the opportunity. When you put him in the lineup every day against righties, maximize those matchups, and allow his strength to show. And we saw that this year, and we're hopefully going to see it next year. And just like we talked about on Monday's episode with the void without Wander, well, there's also a void without Jonathan Aranda. He makes Brandon Lau and Yandy Diaz and Junior Caminero all that much better. And you can really do some fun things with the lineup construction, lefty, righty, right up, lefty, righty, when you have Aranda in the lineup like that.
And I will say this, and this is not shots to this comparison to Johnny DeLuca. Johnny DeLuca started this year as the starting center fielder. Now, after a whole year of unfortunate injuries, he's now looking at a very crowded outfield with options and might no longer be not only the starting center fielder, but not even a starter corner outfielder. That's the reality for Johnny DeLuca coming in to 2026. Jonathan Aranda is not Johnny DeLuca. He has his first base gig for him next year, no matter what. You don't have to come back and prove yourself. You don't have to do that. You're not a guy like Johnny DeLuca who's still trying to, put his best foot forward and say, no, I'm the guy. Johnny, we know you're the guy. And I really hope that the Rays front office and Kevin Cash and the coaches are all of the same mind and say, Johnny, don't you worry. First base is yours. Big Bob has been fun. Big Bob is not taking it away from you.
No.
Yandy Diaz is awesome. We see him more as a DH and a first base for 20, 30 games a year.
Yeah.
Don't you worry. First base is yours.
And that's right. And I think that helps kind of relieve Yandy Diaz and doesn't put as much stress on his lower body where, hey, he can just be a DH and hopefully, hit 300 and hit 25 home runs for us. So, Johnny, we appreciate the effort, but just rest and recuperate for 2026 there. Another player that must be recognized, not necessarily for on the field efforts, but off the field as well. Pete Fairbanks. He is a very charitable guy. We'll discuss after this.
The NFL season is almost here. Kevin is psyched, and FanDuel is making sure you're ready for kickoff with a can't-miss offer. Right now, new customers can bet just $5. That's $5. And if your bet wins, you'll get $300 in bonus bets to use across the app. Sounds like a pretty good deal, people. And what makes FanDuel amazing is that it's quick, easy, and it's the best way to add a little green Skittles on your Sunday that you don't know where to put them. Well, you can use FanDuel for that. You got same game parlays, even jumping in live as the action unfolds. So, are you ready to play? Download the FanDuel app now by visiting FanDuel.com to get started. That's FanDuel.com to place your first $5 bet.
Thank you for listening to the Locked On Rays podcast and making us your first listen every day. We appreciate it. We are part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. Well, Pete Fairbanks, we know who he is on the field, but off the field, he is also a very charitable individual, and he's turned heartbreak into hope and, quite frankly, deserves the Roberto Clemente Award. He's been a nominee for that based on the long list of charitable and giving efforts, mainly his Turner Syndrome campaign. But if you look at the other list of items and organizations that he's involved with, I don't know how he has time to practice or pitch because he is doing so much off the field that is good. And I think that's something that gets lost is, he has a bad outing, he blows a save, and this is for anybody. A guy always struck out 4 times in a game. We also have to look at the human side of things and beyond what the caricature that they are on the field, because no matter what Fairbanks does on the field, he's a good dude off the field. And that carries. That means something. I mean, when you have a guy like Wander Franco and you compare him to somebody like Pete Fairbanks, this is what it's about. Is you have a talent, you make money, but you also give back. And we've seen that in droves from Pete Fairbanks, mainly the Turner Syndrome campaign, but the amount of other things that he's involved with, it gives me John Cena vibes, where John Cena, the wrestler, is just out there, meeting with every Make-A-Wish kid possible and making dreams come true. Well, Pete Fairbanks is doing that for the Tampa Bay Rays and for the Tampa Bay community.
It's so cool when you see athletes do this because, look, from the outside looking in, they've got the gig, man. They've got the gig that we all wish we could have. We'd be so good at a sport that they pay you millions of dollars. Everybody knows you. Most everybody's going to love you. Hopefully, if you do well. There are nights that people are not going to love you. But, I mean, you just have that gig. So we always think, wouldn't it be nice to also have these guys help? And Pete helps. And you mentioned one in specific. I want to give people a little bit more background. Pete, the Fairbanks family really started the Strikeouts for Ellis campaign in memory of their daughter Ellis, who they lost to Turner syndrome in early 2024. And they turned that into action. The goal of the campaign is to bridge the gap between diagnosis and care, while raising awareness for the Turner syndrome, which is a genetic disorder that affects females with a range of developmental and health issues. So he does the Strikeout for Ellis, which means that him and his wife, Lydia, are going to donate $100 per strikeout to the Turner Syndrome Foundation, and it's matched by Rays Baseball Foundation. The Turner Syndrome campaign has raised nearly $60,000, and it aims to raise awareness and bridge the care gap. So that is a fantastic one. That's the main one. But Kevin, he does Community Day. He does Pete Sneaks, the Ronald McDonald House, Rays on the Runway, which has been a thing since the Joe Madden days, Gigi's Playhouse, Hurricane Relief, the Week of Giving in Casa Pinellas. It's really awesome to see a guy that is as gregarious as Pete use that platform for good and out of his own volition. Like, they don't have to do this. Us as fans, we want them to do this. They don't have to. So he not only does it, but he goes above and beyond, which is why he deserves the Roberto Clemente Award, which is one award, which is probably the award that most players recognize as the one that would touch them, in their heart and who they are as a human being and not just as an athlete.
Yeah, if you can't be a Cy Young Award winner or an MVP or a Silver Slugger, try to go and fight for the Roberto Clemente Award. That is a good thing to go after. And you ran down the list of everything he's involved with. He's basically a full-time baseball player and a full-time philanthropist. And in addition to the Turner syndrome, I mean, one I really like is the Pete Sneaks idea, where he provides new sneakers and school supplies to underserved students, partnered with Rays players. So being able to get out in the community and meet with those kids who don't have much and maybe inspire them and help them out. And he understands the value of education. If I recall, we know he's smart, but I think he got a degree in
mechanical engineering.
Yeah, mechanical engineering. So he understands the importance of that. And, there's a lot of families nowadays who, even if they go to public school, you still gotta be able to get dressed for public school. You still have to be able to have a book bag and pens and pencils and notepads for school. And a lot of people just are not fortunate enough to be able to do that. And the fact that he's getting other Rays players involved in that is huge. And shout out to the Rays Baseball Foundation for really valuing, some of the side philanthropic projects of these Rays players and saying, hey, we'll match it, or we're with you toe in toe. And I think that also goes back to, Stu Sternberg's leadership of, hey, we want to, while we might not have the best, PR reputation with the stadium saga and all that, we're going to try to make inroads in the community the best we can.
And they've definitely done that. And I just want to go real quick here and see how many strikeouts he has this season, so we can do some quick math here, Kev. In 2025, he's got 58 strikeouts. So that's 58 times 200.
Who can get it first? 11,600.
There it is, 11,600. That's pretty cool, man.
So maybe the Rays need to convert him to a starter or a long reliever so we can get more money raised.
No, that's really awesome. That's really awesome. Just for doing his performance.
Yeah.
Boom. You get that money. So really awesome for Pete, and hopefully he gets that Roberto Clemente award, which is, one of the highest awards you could get as an MLB player.
Yes, it is. And yeah, we'll I don't know when exactly they're going to announce who won it, but I would imagine Pete.
I think that one is done during the playoffs, World Series type vibe. I think it's before the award season, but we'll stay tuned to it.
Yes, we will. In the meantime, hope you all have a wonderful day. Stay safe, and we will talk to you later.